And the cherry on top is you'll get clients for free on autopilot. In this video, you'll learn how I built a successful AI agency with just $0, what we did to make $15,000 in just one day. So they literally paid us 15K in like one day for this. The exact strategies we used to double the booked meetings for our clients. The AI itself tries to book an appointment. And then they're like, oh, I'm busy. I'll get back to you later. Hangs up. That's fine. We text them. We email them. And then we keep following up because the humans would forget. And if you stick around till the end, you'll uncover a pretty big Easter egg. So this follow-up process basically made it so they could close, which means their revenue went up, which has our secret hacks to get free money in your business. So in this video, we'll cover how we found our niche and why we chose it, how we got our first clients, our 7-step framework for building a SaaS, secret free open source tools you should be using, and how we charge thousands of dollars to build these AI agents. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge and tools to start your own AI agency and even create valuable products for your clients. Let's dive right in. So I run this company called AI Answers, and we've been running this for the last year or so. So I originally, just a bit about my background, right? I initially went to NYU for CS, like computer science. I had a degree from there and I worked on a bunch of these companies. So at the very end of my career, just before I quit, I worked in JP Morgan, Amazon. Everything I did was as a software engineer. So everything I did was like super technical. It's been a long time I spent there, but the thing is, when you're in that kind of a career, you're always going to be limited. And when you're limited, you kind of feel like this, right? This is what I kind of saw. This was always my life, right? Literally, you have to like take vacation days. You don't own your time. You just wake up, you work, you go to bed. And then once Amazon started, they're like, hey, you got to come back to the office. I remember in COVID, they were like, you guys are fine. Actually, that was always their culture. But at one point, they're like, you have to come back. You have to clock in. And I don't know, it was too much. But at that point, I actually like found a way to kind of use, that's when ChatGPT first came out and with their API. So I found a way to use that, connect that with 11 Labs and Twilio. So we could have like an AI, AI that can talk to you over the phone. I posted that over like Twitter, YouTube a little bit way back. And that kind of like exploded. So that got me like the attention of like a lot of VCs and like Bloomberg and stuff like that. So yeah, this is our site right now. Just a quick overview. Basically, after I made that little video, I posted it online. We got featured on Bloomberg. So it was kind of cool. It was like, so what this was about was like, because we used like this phone calling thing, and then we used it in politics, or like we made a mock-up at least in politics, where we kind of took a bunch of the voters, we cloned a politician's voice, and then sent their messages out, like whatever they needed to say. We trained them on their like own agenda, and then called their constituents so we can get them out and vote. So that kind of got us our initial start. So from there, we started building out our platform based on this voice calling tech. And then we also added like, I guess I added it here, like SMS and email. So we have AI, SMS, email, and phone, all three of them done together. And essentially we've been running this platform and we created a SaaS ever since. So that's why I thought this would be good for you guys, because like, I'm assuming from what Dave told me. So basically, if you're a professional who wants to get like financial freedom through like freelancing business, and if you're, technical, interested in AI. So, and the business side is always going to be the pain, because this is somewhere we're not normally used to. So because of that, and because we've got to overcome this, I was in your shoes and there's like some big things that I wish I knew so I could avoid it and then move forward faster, much faster. So why I'm building what I'm building is just because, I want to be financially be by 30, that's like 3 years or something. And I don't want a big personal brand. I just have 8 videos on my channel, but I use that as a lot of social credibility to get me clients, and it just works on autopilot. And ultimately, I just want to be able to do what I want when I want, right? Okay, so what we're building, right? This is getting into the more nitty gritty, I guess. So at a high level overview, what I do is I generate a lot of clients from my YouTube. Whoever signs up goes to our website, books a meeting, and then they're normally will slot in here. So this is the flywheel we've created, right? And I'll show you our SaaS platform in a bit too. But what we do is they come in, and then they fall into 2 categories. So in YouTube, this is very, very normal. They're either someone that's like a super, super beginner, and then they really want to talk to you and learn, or they're like going to be a business if you're creating content in the space. So if they're like a business, then we normally tell them to use the SaaS that we have, or like we have a AI development agency where we kind of do it for them because this is new tech. Like the voice AI, it's so like new that there's barely anyone in it. It seems like it from the inside, but from the outside, people don't know it exists. So we just try to we build a community for the beginners who we train on to use the SaaS. So it's the kind of flywheel. So we get customers from YouTube. We can make them in the community like you guys. And then we have a platform for them that they can also resell and then create their own agency. So it's like a little flywheel we have. So we can constantly get recurring revenue. And what we do, okay, so actually I probably need help from you guys. I'll ask this later. So in essence, we basically help businesses automate their appointment setting and follow up with AI phone calls, SMS, and email, right? So our platform is essentially you go on, you create an agent, you make some follow-up cadences, and then we have a CRM to monitor it. And then they're just automatically going to be in your calendar because they call the people and you just have to close them. So this is and we realized our main clients are mostly agencies. So this is our SaaS platform. When people get on, and there's also a little cool part. So this was built by just a couple guys, and this was built with no code. Like there's these no code platforms called Bubble. So we built our own API. So we started from scratch. So this was all built on Python. And this is basically a wrapper for our API because most people, they want something pretty. Like when you're actually working with higher end clients, they just want something pretty. So that's why we created this thing, and we don't have logos here because people normally white label this console on and sell it as their own. But basically, you just go in, you can create a new voice agent. So let's say this one, or let's say Dave. Agent's goal. What's your goal, Dave?
Get more leads for my business.
Get more leads. Okay. So yeah, we just say create, and basically it's pretty simple. And that's the goal of what we try to do is make things as simple as possible for our end user. Because if it's too complex, what we realized is people churn. So there's the bare essentials, and we handle all the other complex parts. So let's say you just type a starting message. Hello, I'll use this later actually. And then the instructions, just a quick prompt that you can like put in. It's just based on, you don't even need prompt engineering. You just need to dump all the data in there and then you're good. We have videos showing how this works. And if you need to put it to your like CRM, you just put your webhook here. You can get a number. You can buy a new one. I guess right now we don't have this. You can choose a voice. There's a bunch of stuff. Tools is pretty cool. It's like, let's say you wanted to like have actions, do actions. So for example, if your agent needs to look up something from a database, it can do that through this tools thing. And the calendar integration is normally what all people want is just cal.com, go high level. You just put your API key and then it'll automatically do it. And it makes it super simple. So we know people that do these builds, right, and charge thousands and thousands of dollars just to do the calendar integration. But this portal makes it super, super simple. I guess the other stuff is like we have the SMS agent, and the new thing we kind of integrated is like this workflows thing. So we can literally create nice little automations from our console itself using anything. I don't know if you guys know any of these. The recordings, analytics, all of these are there. We have a campaign. It's a quick little CRM so you can manage this stuff. So this is what we basically do. This is what we sell to our clients, and that's the overview of it. So that's the business I want to sell in the long run, the SaaS portion of it. And everything else we do is based on my YouTube. So whatever we try to do, I try to create a video on it and post it on YouTube. In this way, we can keep getting leads. So I just outlined a couple of the big ones. So the real estate cold calling, this one was a cool project because so they literally paid us $15K in like one day for this. So what this was is in the US, if you guys are there, realtors are considered businesses. So what we do is we try to call a bunch of realtors. So we were calling 20,000 realtors a day with AI, and we were seeing if they have properties that are not listed in the market yet, right? If they're not listed in the market yet, what we'd do is we'd set an appointment with them in the calendar of that company, and they would go out they'd go inspect the property and then try to buy the property out at a lower value because it was not on the market yet. And then they took that, they flipped it, and then they resold it. So they would potentially get like hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit, right? So that's like one really cool use case we've done recently. The political one I talked about a while, but this one, the last one, the AI SDR, is something we're trying to standardize, and that is basically there's a lot of people that are like agencies, coaches, consultants, and what they need is and their business thrives on appointments. So this is kind of like a case study of what we were like working on with some people. So this is the AI SDR system. It was based on this one client who we kind of saw, like who were running their agency like this. They would just run ads and they'd get cold traffic. They'd capture their email on their website. They'd qualify them with a form. And then it was up to the human SDR to do all the follow-ups, set all the meetings. And this was a massive bottleneck we saw, right? If they fix that, then they could potentially get a lot more revenue because these human SDRs were making a lot of mistakes. They'd forget, right? It's just human error. It's possible. And they're also
Sami,
expensive.
quick question.
What's
SDR, what does that stand for?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I did not go over that. So SDR is called a sales development representative. So like an appointment setter. All they're responsible for doing is, oh, there's a guy that filled up a form.
Yeah.
I will email them or contact them and make sure they're an appointment so we can sell to them.
Got it.
That's their only job, kind of. But yeah, that is the biggest bottleneck we were trying to solve with the AI SDR system. So what we did is we took our AI, we trained it on what all the conversations the SDR was having. So it had a knowledge bank and there's a big report I made. I'll share this with you guys as well. A huge knowledge bank of like FAQs, what the AI should answer, what they should know. So later on, whenever a client would fill up a form, we would, I think it's not here, but what we would do is essentially we would call them with an AI, we would qualify them. So simple questions like, hey, what kind of business are you? Like this was for like a tree care agency. So if they're like some marketing agency, then we don't care. So for example, they'd ask these kind of specific questions to find out if they're a good lead. And then if they are, then they try to, like the AI itself tries to book an appointment. And then they're like, oh, I'm busy. I'll get back to you later. Hangs up. That's fine. We text them. We email them. And then we keep following up because the humans would forget. So this follow-up process basically made it so that the appointments were followed up and then they would be getting more appointments so they could close, which means their revenue went up. So it was like, this is basically what the crux of what we do.
Quick question again, Samin. When you mentioned, if you mention we trained the model, is that fine tuning or RAG when you have all of that?
Just RAG.
Just RAG. Got it.
Yeah. Fine tuning, we've seen just gets too complex. And what we want to do was make this as standard as possible so we can integrate it with our SaaS.
Exactly. Yeah.
So RAG normally with and because the models keep getting better, I'm like fine tuning is kind of becoming a bit more overkill for these kind of scenarios.
Agree.
But yeah, the overall thing is we identified a problem for a business. We came up with a solution and then we're selling that solution over and over to the same type of people. That's what we need to do. And like, that's where our blue ocean is. We just need to be expert in solving one specific problem and do it over and over. And the cherry on top is you'll get clients for free on autopilot if you just do some simple YouTube. So just one takeaway from this. This is what Alex Hormozy says all the time, and it's super true. You just need one channel of marketing, so how you get your clients. For me, I like doing YouTube. One avatar, so for us, it's the marketing agencies, and one product, it's the SaaS. It's pretty simple, and we just have to keep like doing more volume. So we realized like when people do get on, see you from the YouTube, and then they book a meeting, they're like all excited. They're like throwing the credit card in your face. They're like, yeah, whatever you have, give to me. So they love to buy. People love to buy, right? They love shopping. But when you're like selling to them through ads and stuff like that, like those the selling approaches, they get kind of hard to do for people that are technical, I've seen. But yeah, you just create trust. You're expert in a problem, and you'll be good. It's very easy to charge high ticket services like 10K, 15K. You can charge these because you're solving a problem, which makes them way more money in return. So overall, yeah, this is a crazy bubble. It's a blue ocean opportunity, right? We just have to find a problem, fix it, and then tell the world about it. That's it. Oh, I remember I saw this cool acronym somewhere. Like if our because it's safe because we know we've done it. This is what like clients kind of look for. Like the screen. This is how they screen you. Like, is it safe to work with you? Are you kind of cheap? Well, cheap isn't like your margins. So it is cheap because you're repeating it. It's reliable because yeah, it is reliable because you've done it for yourself. It's easy to implement, and it's new because literally this is everything. This is new. But yeah, that's about it. That's what I had for now. I wanted to dive in more if you had questions.
I think especially like in the end, your message, like find a problem that you can solve it, sell it over and over again, and promote it on social media. I think that's such a good mantra, such a good idea also here for people in the community to keep in mind. And I feel like that's over time how you can go from general, where all of us techies start, right? We start because we love the tech, and not necessarily usually because we're in a very like specific domain or niche. And then over time you find and see those projects that you like, that you get traction with, and then just double down on that. That's exactly what we are doing right now as well. And I think it's such a solid proven strategy to grow long term. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I do have a couple of questions, but curious to see if anyone else already before wants to hop in.
You know what's going to happen if you give me one of those opportunities, Dave.
Oh, there's Clark.
But I was curious to hear Samin's thoughts on OpenAI's plans to implement voice and so on, and how that might interact with the things that he's doing. And from what I've heard about it, I mean, it's really pretty cool what they've been able to do, because they create an interruptible AI that breathes or sounds like it's breathing and pauses appropriately and all that. So, any thoughts on that, Samin?
Yeah, actually. So this is what I tell my guys all the time. Sometimes they're scared of it, but this is literally good for us. This is so good for us because one, we're building on OpenAI, so we use their voice models. Two, what we're selling is not that it can just talk to you, but the integrations and implementations and the problems to fix for the business so they make money, right? There can be as much tech as possible in the world. Actually, everything probably already exists out there, but the thing is the specific lever you can move for other businesses. So for example, integrating to their CRM, they're going to need someone to do that. Voice might be better. That's good for us, and more people know about it. That's also good for us. But the thing is, there's always going to be an issue because people will not be able to implement. Two, they'll not know where to find it. So if you can, at three, they also don't know what the problem is. So if you can identify these for them, and then they normally will have budgets and money, they will happily give you a part if you can make them more money. So it's overall, the OpenAI thing is really good. I'm actually super excited. I'm waiting every day. We also applied for the beta launch for their voice, so we can make our voice agents significantly better for our customers.
That's very helpful. Thank you for that perspective.
Something I would be interested in, Samin, is your experience using Bubble. So curious to learn more about why you opted for using Bubble instead of like building it, because you're an engineer. You could probably figure out with a team to do it, but
yeah. So, okay, that's kind of funny. So, okay, the fact that I'm an engineer actually kind of holds me back from doing a lot of things, right? When you're trying to build a business, you can't be doing the tech yourself. It's something I realized way back, and it's really important. So I have like a dev team with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I have that, I'm actually also looking for a CTO. I might apply to YC, although I don't need to, just for the cloud. But regardless, the business part is way more important because we have to sell to them at the end of the day. But Bubble, what it lets us do is essentially lets us build front ends cheaper and faster. And if there's some gaps in the code, then we could shore it up really easily, right? And also we don't have to do a lot of other things like hosting. There's a bunch of like little things like all the database migrations from there. We don't have to do much, although we use Supabase. The biggest thing with Bubble is that one, it's cheap and fast. So when we're trying to create a new SaaS that we're also charging high ticket for, we need stuff that's fast. And Bubble just lets us do that. Also, one big thing I realized is if, let's say I have a code base, if I want a new engineer, I would need to spend some time to train them on the code base, right? Bubble, it's 10 times more plug and play. Because what I've seen when I hire offshore talent is they will not always be reliable. So it's very easy to plug and play different people, and it just makes our MVPs super fast. Actually, there's this company that does something very similar to us. They're built on Bubble, and then they just raised $7.4 million in their latest round.
I've never worked with Bubble. I've heard good things about it, but we are literally in the process right now of building out 2 MVP kind of like SaaS demos. We're doing it in Next.js, but you just inspired me to maybe look into this.
Yeah, it's so good. It makes it, and it's basically just JavaScript. Basically just a JavaScript wrapper. It makes it easy. If you're technical, I would say maybe look into Flutterflow, because you can also export the code because it's based on Flutter, right? And then just host the code yourself.
Flutterflow. That's also a new one for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of these no-code platforms, and it's getting 10 times easier to build these SaaS platforms and then sell them. Because my goal is a exit for this, right? Yeah. So what I want to do is, because it's high ticket, scale it up and sell it. If I need to, I don't see the need to kind of code it up, because it just puts more overhead on my business.
Yeah. How do you currently price the SaaS model?
So the SaaS model we do it more of a little exclusive kind of. We don't just let everyone have it, but if they're like a client of ours or they come in, we either charge them like $1,500 a month for the SaaS, or we charge more based on if they need more service, where we kind of create their integrations and automations. So a lot of our clients are actually marketing agencies. They use Go High Level.
Yeah.
And marketing agencies, they always love to say, I can do the coding if I want to. If someone says that, there's marketer. I've seen so many people say that, but regardless, they'll say that, but then they'll also be like, oh, I just want someone else to do it. So that's when you charge them for the automations. And because we get to keep the automations, like with this new automation thing we have, we get to keep the automations within our platform. It reduces churn, because 1, we're building the automations for them. And then 2, if it's on ours, it's 1, saving them money. 2, they don't churn because they need it for their clients. It's kind of like easy play to do there.
Makes sense. And also what I really found interesting, so I think it was in here in the flows. If you click on one particular flow where you had the almost like Zapier like diagram, this looks really sick. This is all like Bubble functionality.
No, this is a hack.
Okay, now we're getting a little bit deeper. Okay.
Okay, let me show you. So what I did here, right? There's this thing called active pieces, and you can embed this in your app. Right. So I embedded this in my app, so it looks like that, and I can control. Yeah, I can like also do this for my users, and you can have users like, for example, here I can log out. So this is active pieces.
Active pieces.
Yeah, and this is what they sell basically. They let you kind of like white label their flow builders, and it's by the way, this is also open source, so you can self-host it. So this and N8N, you can also build AI agents on them. You can self-host these things, and so like Zapier costs, if they're going to scale up, it's easier to just self-host it, like things like this, and then you'll have barely any cost increases.
Is active pieces, does that also have the integrations like with all the OAuth with the apps out of the box, or is that more of an N8N thing?
It's literally Zapier it's open source Zapier.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah,
because my Zapier bills are also getting pretty expensive.
Use N8N. I think it's better.
What about Make?
Make is good. Make is probably the best one, but like I don't like recurring unpredictable fees. So here, it's literally right here. You can just fork it and then deploy it on your own.
Oh, I have to look into this.
Yeah, N8N is probably the best one. You can literally code in that if you want. We have this self-host. Yeah, we suspended this. Yeah, so right here, this one's probably a lot better, just because you can make AI agents for this too. So you can make like your WhatsApp chatbots and literally everything you can. And they give you an API as well, like an endpoint, so you can do your CRUD operations. So it makes building simple backends 10 times faster.
Oh, damn. I always feel like, and whenever I see tools like this, I'm like, okay, damn, I have to spend 2 days looking into this.
Yeah, but the 2 days saves you a month later on
Yeah, yeah,
developing.
yeah, yeah, true. No, I love this kind of stuff. Yeah.
There's a lot of this stuff I've been experimenting with. Actually, I tell people about all this stuff in my YouTube. Don't mind my 1 second. It's so I don't procrastinate. I had this thing called
Take a deep breath. Nice.
yeah, because I
I even
open
have
up YouTube.
I even have it blocked on certain like hours, just like YouTube Studio, just LinkedIn, just block it.
Yeah, we like this project, 3,000 a month.
Yeah.
It was literally just an N8 build.
Sick.
Yeah,
Sick, sick,
it
sick.
was very
Yeah.
simple. It's just identifying the problem and then just like because
Yeah.
people don't care what the solution is. As long as you
True.
get the job done, they're okay.
True. And that specific build came to you through YouTube channels. So they set up a discovery call, mentioned something like, hey, we have this email kind of like workflow they will want to automate.
Well, no. So they actually wanted something else, but then what we did was we dug deeper. I'm like, okay, you don't need this thing. You don't need what we're trying to sell you.
Yeah.
But this is where I see what's a problem in your business because I talk to them. You
Yeah.
want to identify what's causing them the most amount of pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And after you can identify that, that's when we're like, hey, maybe we can do this for you. And then we make a proposal based on what we think the problem is, and then we upsell them. So it's a little, but the thing is that it's like a lead magnet. The YouTube is a lead magnet, and then
Yeah.
the product is a lead magnet.
Interesting. So for that particular one, because I would love to hear more about that, how you managed to get them on like a 3K retainer, because usually a lot of clients that we encounter, they're really hesitant about like the recurring revenue and about like the retainer model. So can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about that? What specifically the problem was
Yeah.
that it solves and how it's feasible for them to justify 3K per month?
Oh, this is fun. Okay, so this is for some attorneys. So already they're making shitloads of money.
Yeah.
Two, this is for medical malpractice, right?
Okay.
So because this is for medical malpractice, everything has to be local. So
Yeah.
the LLM has to be local. Everything has to be done locally.
Yeah.
And they don't have anyone of experience to handle this stuff. So what we did was we set up their server, like they set up a server for us, and then we just went in, we created a RAG agent there where we used this thing called a Ragflow, and these medical malpractice suits, right? If they win them, they win millions, right? But where they spend a lot of their money is on doc review. Okay. So what we realized is, well, there's this thing called Ragflow that we can use, and it's pretty simple. It's also open source. I don't know why it's Chinese. Okay, regardless, it looked bad. But what it is you can dump PDFs that are 30K pages long, and these are images with the doctor's handwritings, right? And then you can dump this stuff into Ragflow, and what it will do is it'll index that, and then we can make that into like a chatbot, right? And essentially, these lawyers will almost always have the same questions that they need to ask about these documents, right? Or there's more, and then they need citations. So when they're preparing their kind of like case to kind of sell, like or to make their arguments, they need to find evidence. But looking through these like massive documents is a lot of time and effort, right? So because there are a lot of time and effort, what do? We solve the time and effort by speeding it up with AI. So what we do is we dump those things locally in the Ragflow instance. You can type, I don't know, what was the problem with Mike's foot? And then the bot will be like, there were ulcers or something like that. And then they'll be like, here's the exact page. So they have the evidence, it's cited. That would potentially take someone 2 hours to do. So we already saved them 2 hours. Right. That's just with one question.
Yeah.
So imagine that over and over and over. So
Yeah.
if you can build your proposition and the outcome of what they get, then you can sell it for these kind of price tags.
Sick. Is it because it's open source? Is it using Tesseract for document OCR?
I have no idea what it's using. I think it's using LanceDB actually. From what I remember, I don't. This was way back. But these guys was a good project. This was a like, for example, they have everything. You just dump it in, you dump PDFs in, and you can ask. And I think Christopher had a question.
Yeah, exactly. This is really interesting because I also built an application on my own who does quite similar things. And you mentioned handwritings, and what you showed is also showing some visually rich context, basically. So how are you approaching this? Probably by an LLM, which is translating what it sees on the PDF into a textual representation.
I'm not doing any of this. All we did is we just found the solution to the problem. We didn't develop this. We're just using this open source tool to solve their problem.
I see. Okay. So you say Ragflow basically offers this, and there's no API. You can deploy this.
Well, if
So-
you deploy it, then they have a I think API that you can like call
Okay.
like for operations.
Mhm.
This is another really interesting tool. I would love to dive into this as well. Would be like really curious to figure out if this is like fully like locally deployed, how they do the OCR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so I'm doing this with GPT-4. It's quite simple. You can just build a prompt, and then GPT-4 translates whatever it sees into a perfect textual representation that you can use for RAG. But now I'm looking for a model that I can deploy on-prem, right? Because some customers, they don't want to use GPT-4. They need an on-prem solution for such a file parsing tool. And I was recently looking for models. For instance, I found Edifix version 3 that is based on Llama. And there's also something like TextMonkey. But now if this is also a solution, would be quite interesting.
Yeah. Look for anything LLM that does that too.
Cool. Okay.
And you can deploy this locally as well. See? And better they have all their
Amazing. Cool.
LansDB is default, and it's LansDB does that from what I remember. And it's open source, and it takes in photos and does stuff from there.
Samin, I have so many tools to look into after this call. Damn, this is good.
Yeah. There's so much stuff. But yeah, guys. That was a fun little project. But the thing is, those kind of projects, I don't want to do too much. Because
it's
it's
too
not
custom?
repeatable. It's
Yeah.
too custom.
Yeah.
I want to do something I can do over and over again. Because what I ultimately my goal is to have, because SaaS, do you guys know about SaaS exits?
Yeah, I am aware, but maybe elaborate a little bit on that, like what it could look like in terms of take your monthly or annual recurring revenue and then like 4 to 8x that. That's
Exactly,
something.
yeah.
That's the ballpark, right?
Yep, 4 to 8x, and then if you have AI in there, you can double
Bump it up to 10 or 15.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why B2B always sells for more.
Yeah.
When you're selling to businesses, if it's solving a problem that's making you money, it sells for more. And that's what I want. I had a really good paying job, but the thing is that's not going to do well, like for me, it wasn't going to actually hit my goals. So my idea is I can either spend 1 year making 300K, or I can spend, let's say, 2 to 3 years building something, selling it, and then potentially getting at least over $1 million. Right.
That's the play.
Yeah. And then after you have one SaaS exit under your belt, VCs are like, oh, please, let me give you money.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely also a direction that we want to go towards with Data Lumina and what we want to focus on. We are right now in that process of finding those repeatable. So before like half a year, everything was custom. There was like no project that would be the same, and you can get far with that. Like you can make a good living with that. But if you like then want to take it to the next level, you gotta find some way of repeating those projects that you've already built. That's what we're really trying to figure out right now. What that's going to look like for our business specifically. So how can you maybe tell us a little bit more about how you found your lane, how you found your thing to double down on?
I think it was mostly on demand and like running my own agency. So I'm running my own agency. What do I need? I need appointments.
Yeah.
What's stopping me from getting appointments? It's these follow-ups. So I kind of like just dug deep because like normally if you solve a problem that you yourself have, you'll know all like the kind of like nuts and bolts. Like the iceberg, you're not just seeing the tip of the iceberg, you're seeing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you know where to kind of start hacking away at it.
Yeah.
And most businesses are the same. So most businesses will sell you something. It's either in a freemium way or like in a sales enablement way. And if you can just find a problem in the top end, the back end is a lot harder, but in the top end where it goes to either lead generation or lead nurturing, then almost every company will need something like that because you need more people. You need to sell something to people. You need to talk to people.
Yeah.
So it's very, very easy place to be in.
It's great input. And maybe also here in Data Freelancer, there are also a couple of people who consider potentially starting with YouTube, setting it up as an inbound channel like you have over here. And what I find particularly interesting about your angle, Samin, also what you said in the introduction presentation, I don't need like a huge personal brand. I really take it slow with YouTube. I have a couple of videos, and that's just it. I focus on the tech. Could you elaborate maybe a little bit on currently the channel that you have, kind of like the upload cadence and how many leads that is generating for your business?
Okay. So guys, I have 9 videos, I think. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That's it. I have 9 videos. You don't need much. This one video gets me too much views, like too many leads. At one point, I had to start like I was getting 100 leads a week, sorry, like booked appointments a week. It was too much. YouTube is crazy if you can build your trust in the right way. If you watch my videos, they're not super technical because most business owners aren't super technical, right? I'm not going and being like, this is how you write a Python script or this is how you make automation to do this. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about the problem at a high level and how we solved it. And we're building a story around it. So they can kind of like relate their problems to. In this way, and at the end, I'm always calling for a CTA. So like I built this one got me a shitload of leads too. It's just doing something fun and then if you make content about things you do yourself, that your trust level is here because you did it. You're not talking about someone else doing it.
Yeah.
And when people trust you, they buy from you or they will talk to you.
Yeah. And when you mention like I add a specific CTA, what does that look like? It's just in the end for, hey, if you want to work with me, if you want to help me set this up, check out first link in the description, and that is a Calendly link. Is that how it's structured?
No, actually, so this is where it gets kind of businessy. And if you have a Calendly link, people will churn and you don't know what's going to happen, right? So the hack here is, this is what I recently learned and I really need to start doing, is the biggest thing is, I don't know if I have it on this one. Yeah. So get all my guides and templates. I have one link, nothing else. People have one thing to do. They click it. I get their email. Then I start nurturing. But once they enter their stuff, once they enter their stuff, they land in my VSL. This is a case study. And then if they land in my VSL, they can book a meeting from there. Creating friction in your sales process is pretty important because you want the right candidates. But I also will have their email. So if they weren't the right candidates, I keep sending newsletters where they're going to be nurtured. So what if someone randomly just think about the average YouTube viewer? What are they going to do? They're going to go to the homepage. They're going to click on, let's say they click on one of your videos. They scroll for like 5 minutes or something, or they watch for a little bit. And then they click the first link. You make it simple. It's one step. Everything is one step. So it's easy. So, and then you own the audience because you have their email. And email newsletters is something I really, really need to kind of get better at. And I realized, like, I'll give you an example. This is one of my buddies. This guy he's a drummer, okay? He doesn't do anything for money or to make money and stuff. This guy, look at his funnel. He goes in, he has a video about drumming. You go to his funnel, you keep his email, you enter, like I'll enter my email. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but okay. Anyways, but the thing is, he keeps sending you newsletters, and what happened was in a month he implemented the strategy. He did it really well, and he got 30K. He was making 30K a month from his info product, based on just after he implemented this funnel. So this funnel is really, really important. And it's super simple, but I didn't know this way back, but now I'm trying to implement it. Like the newsletter funnel is super important because people are in their inbox. I didn't know people read email, but they do.
Interesting. I really like this approach. You don't see it often. Usually people have like the quick like Calendly link or like book the call page, but I could see how that could cause a lot more friction, where that's currently also what we have built out right now and what straight goes to our calendar. But what you often see is the people that do book calls, they're pretty serious, but they're probably like a lot of people who I'm just browsing YouTube, right? I'm not gonna like hop on the call, but you might be interested in the free template, something like that, some more info, and then nurture them afterwards with the email sequence, and then later they might convert.
Yeah.
This
You
is
never
a
know
good one.
who's like busy when. People are busy, right? You could be
True.
in like the bathroom and you're just done. Right. And that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of life. That's
Yeah.
when people watch YouTube. Yeah, I always think it's like, you sit down and you watch it, but that's not the case. It's people
Yeah.
aren't ready. They need to be nurtured.
Love it. So essentially, you need a lead magnet, is what you would call it, I guess.
You don't even need a lead magnet. Just be like, this is my newsletter. This is where I
This
share
is my
my
newsletter.
like for example here. And then make sure you have testimonials. We have a shitload of testimonials, and it really helps.
Yeah.
I guess it's because we've served a lot of people, so we could put all this stuff there.
Yeah.
But testimonials really, really help.
Good stuff.
And
A lot of
you can also get
yeah.
testimonials for free. I was gonna say that because if you work for one person for free,
Yeah.
you already have a testimonial.
You hear that, Camilla? At the beginning of this call, Camilla was talking about she recently joined Data Freelancer. She got her first project, but she offered to do it for free. We were talking about that and mentioned like, hey, there's nothing wrong in just doing a project for free and at least like get the experience, get the confidence, get the testimonial out of it.
Yeah, that's what I did. Just do it for free, get some goodwill. Do it for free if they're a good client. If they're like a bottom feeder, don't do it for free.
Good stuff, Samin. A lot of things to like to think about, tools to look into. Definitely lots of inspiration, like I've said, for me personally. I hope for everyone else as well. Any other questions for Samin right now?
I kind of have a question. So you had this idea, and then did you have any other ideas that didn't work, or was this kind of like this just took off?
So when we're doing a business, it's like weird. It's like you'll have a million different ideas and you'll have also a million different people asking you to do different stuff. Right. The important thing that I also struggle with is just staying focused.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's one idea that makes me more money than every other idea, and I just need to focus on that. Right. Ideas come in diamonds a dozen, but like what is the vision you set out for yourself and what your goal is, you should just do that. Right. Like, for example, I could just as easily keep doing like the custom agency, the development agency, but I'm not going to do that because what I want is a SaaS exit. Right. Although it's harder, that's like my goal, and that's where I'm trying to be at. But yeah, I did have other ideas. That's why we did the email stuff. And the really easy way to get more ideas is just by having like a development agency where people ask you to do something for them. And you're like, okay, they have this problem. Maybe other people of the same type will also have this problem. So you take your solution and you sell it to them. But that's when you need YouTube to find these other people. Or LinkedIn, but yeah.
That makes sense.
I have one question, Samir. So,
So
I see that you're using things like Bubble or Flutter Flow, as you mentioned. Also saw the Ragflow, which is another open source tool. And my question is, what do you think then would be the unique advantage of the business you're building that someone else couldn't just take the same tools and implement them also, right? And be a competitor in that sense. You think it's like a first mover advantage in this case?
So here's the funny part. This is what I realized later too. Competition is a good thing, right? If someone's doing it, them and they have clients, that means it's a good space to be in, right? Sometimes if you're a first mover advantage in a space that nobody needs, it's a waste of time. So the idea, and also the market is big enough that everyone can succeed. It's not like only one person is going to succeed, right? You don't have to be Google. You don't have to be Amazon, right? Even they're not, they didn't have the first mover advantage, some of them. But what they did do is they did something that's really good. And if you're like trying to start small, Amazon literally started as a bookstore. So it's okay. People can copy you, but that's good because that's validation, right? You just have to do it better. You just have to keep doing your thing better.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah. But also, it's Bubble's also like coding. So it's not like, even if they use the tools, it's fine. It doesn't matter because there's a lot of learning to do and coding to do in Bubble that people can't just replicate, right? So people have sold companies built on Bubble for millions. My friend Alex from Closify, you can Google him. He's actually pretty big on YouTube and Twitter. He's done multi 7 figures by selling Bubble based software.
That's a really good advice there, Samin. And also when it comes to working with AI, even you have also the tools, but on the other hand, you also have the data and the prompts, right? So with that, you always kind of like have something unique depending on how you take on a project like this. And also, like you said, there is so much opportunity right now that you literally don't have to care about competition at this space. Just do your thing, make sure you keep improving, and you'll do well.
Yeah, like the restaurants on every block, and so all of them can do well. It's fine.
One more thing that I was interested in, Samin, this goes kind of like back to the SaaS that you were building. So you onboard new customers, whether that's just a business or an agency. They probably already have a lead list to call, right? So it's kind of like inbound. No, sorry, I shouldn't say inbound. They have a list that they kind of like have agreed to contact, right? That's usually the case.
Yeah, so what we've been experimenting and we've seen is a lot of people will do it for cold traffic in funnels. So what'll happen is, let's say you run ads, and then you run ads to a page. Yeah. So people will click on the ad, they get on a page, they fill a form, and then we call them, we text them, we email them to make sure they book a meeting. Yeah. And that's how they're getting new customers. Yeah. So we're part of the funnel and sales enablement process. There's one other thing that's doing customer service and inbound calling, but that's like become kind of a commodity, right? So I'm trying to look for our specialty, which is not as easy to do because you need specific problem knowledge. If you just want an inbound caller, you can literally go into any service, build it up really quickly, right? Yeah. But that's a low ticket thing. What we're trying to do is we're like, hey, we're increasing your conversion rate and you're making more money. That means you want to keep us because we're helping you make more money.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, then I think we can wrap up this one. So Samin, thanks for joining, man. I really enjoyed the session. I got a whole list of new tools to look into here. So thanks for that. And Samin, we'll definitely stay in touch. Maybe in who knows when we can redo this session. We'll see. For now, thanks. And also thanks everyone for joining, and see you in the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks.
Later.
Bye.
All right.